couple of weeks ago, Martin Garrix and Mesto released a new song Limitless, and it's a real banger. So today I will show you how to remake the break, build up and drop, which sounds like this. Also, I will be giving away the project file as well as some bonus tips, so make sure to stay until the end. Alright, let's get right into it. Okay, so this Pluck consists of 3 layers, which is the main one. Then we have a second layer, which has more transits in it. And then the third one just acts as a supporting layer. So for the post-processing, if you remove all effects, it sounds like this. First of all, I use the Orb, which is a formal filter plugin that transforms the sound to give it the characteristics of the human voice. And you could also use an EQ to achieve similar results, but I found it quicker doing it this way. After that, we have 2 instances of that. So this is actually just a volume shaping plugin comparable to the popular LFO tool, but only half the price. Usually I use it for sidechaining, but in this case I used it to shape the tail of the Pluck so it gets shorter after the first 8 bars. Next up we have Pro Q, which I used for removing some of the low frequencies as well as some adjustments in the mids. And one trick I do quite a lot when remaking sounds is using the EQ match function. So basically I sidechained a filtered version of the original track to this one, and then the plugin adjusted the bands to match the frequencies of the original, right? After that, there is a reverb with a pretty short decay. Then we have some sidechaining. And in the end, we have another EQ just for automation purposes. Up next, we have the main lead, which sounds like this. And I think MHA did a pretty good tutorial on how to create this in Vital, so make sure to check out his channel. So basically, it's a saw wave with some white noise, as well as some additional layers to give it more flavor. And for the processing, we have a chorus, a multiband compressor, as well as distortion and EQ, and a bit of reverb. Then it goes through the mixer track, which has a delay on it, and also this little patcher preset called FP Retro. So this patch was made by Frank Pohl, and he creates really cool copies of popular plugins, like for example this one, which is a copy of the famous RC20. Another important aspect of the sound is this reverb, which makes it really huge together with the delay. And for this one I used Valhalla Room, but you can basically just use any reverb that you want. After that we have some further EQing, followed by FP Smooth, which is a copy of the popular Soothe plugin. And I can definitely recommend this one because it's used to tame some of the really harsh frequencies in here. Next up I have a compressor to control the sound even more, and in the end there is a fruity balance just for a volume automation. Okay, so let's have a brief look at the Reese bass. This one is also made in Vital, and for this I just used the preset with a saw wave in it as well as some compression and distortion. And for the post-processing I did pretty much nothing at all, just removing some of the high frequencies in there. So for the rest of the sounds we have an impact right at the beginning. Then a reversed synth to introduce the main lead. And then we have 2 pads which are playing in the background and just filling out the empty space. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it for the break, so let's get right into the build-up. This part gets introduced by the clap with the simple filter automation. I also added a reverb together with a compressor to give it a much longer tail. And after that I used the wave shaper to control some of the peaks. Then we have a supporting layer for the clap, which is actually just a cheering crowd effect. Oh boy, this never gets old. And yeah, for this I only used a frequency shifter because originally the pitch was a bit lower. And using this plugin on drums and percussions often sounds a bit better than just using the pitch knob. Then next up we have the snares. For this I also used the frequency shifter to match it with the rest of the track. And last but not least, I added this pitch automation, which creates even more tension during the build-up. And here we have the same melodic elements as before, but now they switched things up and added this new lead, which sounds like this. So this one is made in Serum, and it's pretty much just a mixture between a sine wave and a square wave. And you can get this by going into the wavetable editor. Then you draw an initial sine wave, and after that you can add some higher frequencies until you get those rounded edges. And yeah, that's already it. For the effects, I added some white noise uplifters. And then there is also the fill right before the drop. Oh, and one last thing that is really important is this little automation right here. So you probably all know the Endless Smile plugin from Data Live, which is used in a lot of tracks these days, right? Now this patcher preset does almost exactly the same. In here you have the option to add a delay, reverb and the high pass, low pass automation. And if you combine them all together, it creates this huge sounding buildup, which gets washed out the higher you turn it up. So a pretty cool plugin, which I really like. Okay guys, next we will get into the fun part, which is the drop, but before that, just a quick announcement. Like I said, you will be able to download the project file for free, and as a bonus, since not all of you have the same external plugins, I decided to create the whole project with almost only stock plugins. The only thing you need is Serum, which by now most of you should probably have. So if this was helpful to you, please consider liking the video and subscribe to the channel, that would be really huge. Alright, let's get back to the video. First off, we're gonna talk about the lead, which sounds like this. For this one, I used the preset from Seek, who came already pretty close in my opinion, and then I tweaked some things down the line to change some of its characteristics. So this sound is created by using a normal sine wave and another one which is pitched up by 3 octaves and 7 semitones. And then the first one is getting modulated by the second one, which creates these unique harmonics. After that, he added some distortion, as well as a multiband compressor and some EQing, but the real magic happens in the post-processing. In here we have another OTT, as well as an EQ to get rid of the low end and pushing some of the highs. Then some further distortion, as well as saturation, and also a reverb plugin with a really short decay. In the end, there is again a smooth patch to control some of the harsh frequencies and another EQ, which is boosting the high end even more. The second element of the sound is a bunch of white noise with a super fast LFO, which is controlling the volume over here, and this gives it the grittiness together with a bit of distortion. For the effects, I used an EQ to clean up the sound a little bit, and then after that I tried out different distortion plugins to get closer to the original. So the one that worked for me is the Serum FX plugin, which you can get for free if you have a license for Serum. And in here I used the linear full distortion type to get the sound that I wanted. After that I removed the low frequencies, which were created during the distortion process, and then both sounds are getting routed to this bus channel. On this channel we have some compression to glue the sounds together, as well as some EQing to match it to the original track. Then I added a stereo shaper to widen the sound, a wave shaper to control some of the peaks, and finally Duck, which is used for sidechaining. Okay, so next up let's talk about bass. This one is pretty straightforward. It is basically just a sine wave together with a lot of distortion. And after that, I removed most of the high frequencies in here and added a sidechain as well. And for the second bass, I used the Simple Sine preset from MHA, which is a combination of 2 sine waves together with some distortion and a short pitch envelope. Alright, so now for the drums and percussions, I mainly sampled the ones from the original track, since I didn't want to spend hours just searching for the right samples. I also did almost no processing whatsoever, so this is how it sounds. And in the second part, there's also a hi-hat added to the mix. If you want to know more about this, then please let me know in the comments, so I might do a second video explaining the different sampling methods. And for the effects, we have first of all the big bass step. Then we have a percussive element and a vocal shot, which both have a ton of reverb on it, as well as some sidechaining. Then some further percussive elements like this one. And finally, it all runs into this beautiful ending. Alright guys, if you managed to stay until now, let me tell you, I had a lot of fun remaking this track and I hope you like the end result. I will probably do some more in the future, so please let me know what I should be doing next. As I said, you can find the download link in the description and feel free to like the video and subscribe if this was helpful to you. And if you want to see more, you can check out the videos to the right. I wish you all a great day. See you soon.